Hello, freaks! Okay, so, welcome back to another Doctor Who book review. Today, I'm talking about, System Shock by Justin Richards. I had to look at the book for a second there, nearly forgot. So yeah, this is my first, Virgin Missing adventure. I've obviously read a few Virgin New Adventures. I've got another review for one of those coming up. And it's also my first, I believe this is my first Justin Richards as well. So, a few firsts for me in the Doctor Who book world. So yeah, let's just get on to it. I picked this up, I think setting up context would be a good idea with this one, because I picked this up, after a bit of a slump. I'd stopped reading for a while. I'd had a book that I just sort of put down, I occasionally pick up and read a page, but, I've gone through a phase of just really not feeling like reading for personal reasons. And then I sort of got to a point where I was like, hey, I do want to read, but I need something that I can pick up and get into. And System Shock was the one I chose, and this was a really good one to do that. I had a lot of fun with this. So it's, as you can see, Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane with Harry Sullivan as well. Adventure. Set between the Seeds of Doom and the Mask of Mandragora. So, in between series 13 and series 14. And it's kind of a sort of cyber thriller. Not Cyberman, I mean as in sort of cyberspace, that sort of cyber tech kind of thing. Sort of a tech thriller, basically. Which, going into this, I was unsure how this would pan out. Like, 90s tech thriller, a lot to do with computers and stuff. Those can be very, very cheesy, which I was up for. But actually, this was really well done. I think this felt a lot more grounded than a lot of, those sort of tech thrillers of the time. Justin Richards, the author, didn't go too far with it. So this is actually set slightly in the future to when this was published. So I think this was 1995? Yes, I got that completely correct. 1995. But the actual adventure, the story itself, is set during 1998. So it's sort of a thing where, he's taken the tech of the time. It does say, he was in that area. He's worked in that field, so he has expertise on it and stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm not a real tech expert, so I can't say how close this is. But as someone who, kind of a layman, it didn't ring false. But obviously, I know, I haven't got the capabilities to sort of be like, oh yeah, this is right, this is wrong. But yeah, he sort of basically took what the tech was at the time and sort of upgraded it slightly, so it can do things. That was the post. Do you hear that? It can do things that obviously couldn't quite reach, but were realistically in the next few years, computers would be able to do, sort of thing. And it's basically an alien invasion story, but all set around sort of, the superhighway. It's actually quite interesting reading this, because I think he did quite well. It doesn't feel all that dated, to be honest. I mean, obviously, you've got discs and big computers and blah, blah, blah. But, like, in terms of, you can kind of read it historically as well anyway. But yeah, it kind of works because it doesn't go too far. There's a few bits where it goes a little cheesy, where he takes it a little bit, oh, we'll be able to do this. And it's like, you're going a bit there. But for the most part, it's quite a sort of grounded adventure. In terms of the actual tech stuff, I think the Fourth Doctor and Sarah are really characterized really well as well. So moving on to the characters, you've got that really sort of fun back and forth between them, and obviously they get split up, and Sarah is sort of trying to sort of do things herself, and it really feels like the Sarah we all know and love. And then you've got the quirky Fourth Doctor, with a bit of fallibility thrown in there, but you always feel like he's on top of the situation. So yeah, I thought this was really characterized well. Harry as well was done pretty spot on. Considering the fact that he is kind of he is quite a large part of the story, but he feels kind of split off from the Doctor and Sarah, which I would have liked more of Sarah and Harry, especially because he sort of, Justin Richards touched on a really interesting thing in this book, which I don't think any other story has, which is how weird it is, because basically, from Sarah's perspective, they've just left Harry, not that long ago, in the Zygon invasion, Terror of the Zygon, sorry. That's a few stories ago. But to Harry, it's been years. He's grown older. He's in a lot different. He's in a very different position now. He's in MI5, and those days with the Doctor are quite far behind him. Which is quite interesting. So you've got this weird sort of thing where they're like, how time has affected them both. For Harry, it's really weird that Sarah hasn't aged at all, and for Sarah, it's really weird seeing him older, and also her thinking about there's an older version of me as well. Which I thought was quite interesting. But unfortunately, he never really goes that far with it. He sort of just touches on it, just sort of lightly, prods at it, but never really uncovers it, which, slightly disappointing. But to be honest, this is more supposed to be a very fun adventure, and it really is. It's very fast-paced. I know some people, personally, I find build-up quite fast-paced. Well, depending on it, but there's a lot of build-up to this to get to the actual meat of the invasion and the story. But I thought it was quite fast-paced because there's a mystery. You're sort of trying to untangle what's going on, and you also know that Sarah is in danger because she's sort of infiltrating this company and stuff. So yeah, it works. It works quite well, and then once you properly get to the meat of it, which is mostly in just one location, it's a really, there's quite a bit of action. You're getting a few twists and turns and stuff. And I thought the characters outside of the main trio were pretty well done as well. Nothing you're gonna remember, no characters I feel you're gonna remember years later, but still, good for what we're going for here. In terms of the villains, then, they were fun. They're not standout. They're not villains I'm sort of like, oh yeah, I love the Veracians, my favourite villains of all time. But they were pretty interesting. I thought the central trio of them as well were quite good, with Stabfield and Johanna, and I forget his name, but the other one. You sort of had some inner turmoil as well with them, which was quite fun. And the actual premise behind the aliens was quite interesting as well. I will say you can definitely see with this book, with the story itself, it feels like he's borrowing from a lot of different stories, particularly Cybermen, which may be sort of a spoiler, but he's sort of twisting the ideas and changing them. So yeah, I thought it was a really interesting premise overall. And I just had a good time. It's really fun. It's quite a chunky book for a Doctor Who book. 310 pages, I think. Or 309 pages. Which, like I said, it's quite long for a Doctor Who book, but it never really feels too, it never really drags. It's really well paced, as I say. So yeah, I had a really, really good time with this. The ending maybe was slightly rushed, but not really. Like, I would have liked a little bit more. With the Doctor stopping the bads at the end. I don't want to spoil it. But like it worked. It was fine. It was pretty good. And by that point, it's like I think the story had run its course. So you wouldn't have wanted this book too much longer. And it also sets up nicely the sequel, which is really interesting because the sequel is in the BBC book. So I guess he planned the sequel the whole time. But yeah, I'm excited to read the sequel. I don't have it, so I will have to get a copy at some point. But yeah, soon, hopefully, probably next year, I will be reading the sequel to this, which is Millennium Bug, I want to say. I'm pretty sure it's called Millennium Bug, because it's to do with, the new millennium and stuff. Alright then, yeah, that's the review. I really like the book. Do write in the comments what you thought of the book if you've read it, or if you're planning to read it. It is quite a well-loved Virgin and Missing adventure, so yeah, quite well known. So I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on this one. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Or do you just think it's okay? Also, if you enjoyed the video, do give the video a like and subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. And I shall see you next time. Bye!